As we speak right now, the UK is trying to put me in jail. England, because Romania has failed, so England has picked up. And England's coming up to me with all this garbage, and they're going to try and charge me soon with some imaginary crime.
Okay, so that is Andrew Tate, who I guess people are like trying to lock up for like the crimes he's committed and bragged about for years. And it's all a big shady thing, except that it's not. And we're gonna talk about why he was arrested, because he was arrested again. But we're gonna talk about sort of the meta conversation about the arrest, because he cannot suffer consequences for what he's done and said without his fans tripping over themselves to come up with some other explanation as to why it's happening. So they're apparently now saying that it has to do with him like criticizing the elites or something like that. It's all tied in with wokeness and the Oscars. And I will never understand why people go to such lengths to defend people like Tate, Elon Musk, and the others. Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait, click join now on YouTube. The allegations that have led to the different attempts to prosecute him that he alluded to are longstanding. They go back to between 2012 and 2015. They reject all of the charges, although that's what they're doing through their legal team. When they were bragging about them in their live streams and stuff like that, they had a slightly different tune because they expected that they were always going to be able to avoid consequences. The legal firm that's representing 4 of the British women who've accused Tate of rape and sexual assault, they put out a statement saying they'd urged British police to file an extradition request after they received word that Tate may flee Romania. And I can understand why they'd be concerned about that. This is a guy who said he was going to Romania because you can get away with these sorts of crimes. The idea that he might evade justice by going somewhere else is kind of well established at this point. But anyway, what is this? What's the conspiracy theory about this? Well, on a clip from their show, this is from just yesterday. It was titled Emergency Meeting. Tate claimed in that stream that dressing a certain way, having certain opinions on the LGBTQ community, and doing certain things would mean protection from the media establishment. After declining, we ended up in a jail cell. So the idea is that if you bow to the establishment, they won't lock you up. But if you go against them, then that's trouble. And they tied this into the Oscars, as I said, particularly John Cena. Now, you might recall John Cena participated in the Oscars. John Cena is a one of the most famous wrestlers in the WWE of all time, who's now a big movie star. And so he did this. We can show the picture and you'll see sort of the segment he did, where he was presenting the costume award and he was ostensibly naked. He wasn't technically naked, but he was pretty close to naked. And every right winger in America is trying to imply that this is some sort of satanic ritual of humiliation where he has to do this so that the elites of society will accept him. He has to do this rather than he wants to do this because it features him prominently in the Oscars, demonstrating the fact that as a guy in his upper 50s, he's still in immaculate physical shape and is obviously proud of his shape. They have to see that as a humiliating thing. I don't know what is wrong with these people. I don't know who hurt them, but all of them are saying that this is some sort of ritual and that somehow this is like Andrew Tate wouldn't appear naked at the Oscars, so he gets locked up. John Cena will, so I guess he walks free. We live in stupid times, Rayyvana, but what do you think?
I mean, we do live in incredibly stupid times, and the reason why Andrew Tate actually went to jail is maybe even stupider. So he texted his friend and fellow a bigot streamer, Aiden Ross, that he's planning on fleeing Romania. I think the exact words he used were, if it's now or never. And then his idiot friend Aiden Ross on a live stream showed those text messages from Andrew Tate, which prompted prosecutors in the UK to reach out to officials in Romania and ask them to detain him because he is a flight risk. But I will just also say this, at the beginning of the clip, he said, Romania failed to charge me, which is absolutely not true. They're getting ready to take him to trial. He's very much still, it's still awaiting not charges, but the trial in Romania. And then it was just approved that after the trial in Romania, he can be extradited to the UK to face the charges for rape and sex trafficking in the UK as well. It's not one or the other, it's both.
100%. I want to close with, let's just jump to our last tweet. So this is the tie between the two. So this is Andrew Tate retweeting himself, which these sorts of men love to do. He had previously said 6 years until slavery, 2030, it's over unless the men of this world get some balls. And he says, we know which side John Cena chose. John Cena is an incredibly famous and rich guy in better shape than you, Andrew Tate, will ever be in your life, who I'm sure was perfectly thrilled to show off his amazing physique to some of the most beautiful women in the world, who very much appreciated his physique. The idea that you think that slavery is super weird. Of course, you also think that what masculinity is that you force women in difficult circumstances into effectively doing sex work for you against their will, and then taking all the profits, and then draining the bank accounts of all the men who are in very difficult situations themselves, and unfortunately find themselves in the position where they think that you're some sort of savior for them. So you steal all of their money, telling them that if they're lucky, someday they will also be able to enslave women for their own benefit. And all of this is supposed to help men. Look, I don't really care what ends up happening to Andrew Tate. I do feel bad for all of the men whose lives have been ruined by looking up to this man. I think that there is, whatever he says about the forces working against men, there is perhaps no one in the world, no force in the world that is doing more to harm the interests of men than Andrew Tate. He despises men. In particular, he despises strong men. He doesn't want strong men. He wants broken, pathetic men who are so wrecked by their lives that they'll look up to him and thus transfer their money to him. If you're a young man and you don't know what to do with your life, I understand that that's a difficult position to be in. What I would say to you is look to literally any other role model and you will go farther in life than if you look up to Andrew Tate. You will end up a bitter, broken, pathetic little weenie of a man who will also have no money because you'll have given it all to this con artist. That's my advice to you, but what do I know? I'm only a guy with a successful career, a happy marriage, and a child, and I'm not being wanted by the authorities in multiple countries. So I don't know why he'd listen to me or anything. He, after all, does smoke cigars, so he's probably more of an authority. Any final thoughts, Rayyvana?
Yeah, Andrew Tate is a disgusting human being, and I can't wait for him and his brother to spend the rest of their days locked behind bars.
100%. Yeah, if I could, he wants to tie this into the Oscars, so I'll tie it into the Oscars. Andrew Tate, isn't it past your jail time?